right, hello GenRight Nation. Welcome everybody. It is June 7th. You know what that is? Jamie and Nana's birthday. Yeah. So happy birthday to my mom and my oldest son, Jamie. I tried to get him to stay, but for whatever reason, he wanted to book out of work early and go be with his wife. So that's cool. Happy birthday, James. If you are watching this live, I want to suck you right in and remind you that today you're going to want to stay on because we are giving away another K&N gift card. I've got these ranging from $100 to $250. So at some point we're going to ask a question and you need to guess the answer. Hopefully Jennings has come up with whatever that question is because I have no idea.
I gotta come up with the question.
Anyways, we're here to talk about your favorite subject and mine. So, and Jeff's. Yep. And before we get into that, we have a special in-studio guest. Can we get him to come up here and say hi for a second?
Come here, Ari.
Many of you know Ari. We're just going to suck him up here for a minute to say hi. Wave to everybody. Yep. As you know, he's got number 2 EXS build and with the blue wheels. That's the only way we know him apart.
No difference there for a while.
Yeah. So anyways, it was nice to have him up here today. And he's going to hang out and watch a show. So just want him to come up and say hi to everybody. All right.
Hi,
Awesome.
Nana. Happy birthday.
Is she on?
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Tech Talk is something we do live every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific on Facebook and YouTube. So doesn't matter what platform you're watching on. Glad you're joining us. Please make sure that you subscribe or like and turn on your notifications. If you're watching it live, you get an opportunity to ask questions by making a comment. Type in a comment, include as much information as you can so we can try and answer your question. I'm usually pretty good about that. Let's see. Jen, who else have we got watching today?
Let's see. We got Esther Parrott Newcomb, Jim Snyder, Steve Bird, Corey Horton, Kelly Sims.
I haven't heard Jimmy
Jeff
Snyder in a
Lone,
while.
Gary Swagger.
I'm working on a quote for him right now.
Nice.
I'll be talking to Jimmy tomorrow.
Well, we know, of course, Ari's watching. He's right here.
Carl the Marine from Oceanside.
Nice.
Byron Roberts, Terry Mode, Deborah
Big
Carnell.
Tara.
Just got
Hi,
a phone
Deborah.
with Terry.
Yeah, is he getting those rockers?
Yep.
Yeah.
Rockers and
Good.
Frank.
Good.
David Mork, VB Tom, Byron Roberts, Anthony Paquette, Alex Israel, Patrick Vaughan,
We got our man Stephen Bird on.
Nice.
Nick Repanich. Hi, Nick.
All right.
And a whole bunch of people on YouTube.
What about Terry? Has he seen those new LJ Adventure shirts?
I haven't given him a sneak peek
Yeah,
yet.
we should. Okay.
Oh, we got Laura Coda on.
All right.
Got
Nice.
Reed.
Nice. I saw they were out wheeling
We're
last
at the
weekend.
sand dunes in
Yeah,
Michigan.
yeah.
She just sent me a really cool gift. It's a squeegee with built-in glass cleaner on
Nice.
it. Pretty pumped about that.
That's cool. Might help at
Everywhere.
Real Hammers experience. I was thinking.
Well, it will because well, not really because I
No
took-
windshield.
No windshield. But I lost one of my windshield wipers when I took off my windshield frame with windshield, so now I don't even have wipers.
Oh, so this is going to be important.
Very important.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
And they're also telling us where they're tuning in from, which I always like to see.
Oh, nice. I like that too.
Arizona, San Diego, Northern California, Florida, Virginia Beach, everywhere.
That's cool. All over the place. I love it. Thanks, everybody. We sure appreciate you watching. All right. Today's featured product, I just have a couple of things. One is, and hopefully Jennings can zoom in on this, I just put kick plates like this. Hold up that end. We've offered these for a while. When you do our frame mounted rocker guards, you can still put the kick plate on to protect the paint from the tip of your shoe with a bunch of mud and dirt on it. And that's pretty handy. Just put those on today. And Jeep's getting prepped for the next event. So in addition to that, I wanted to let everybody know that we just rolled out of the shop the next EXS 392.
It's so pretty.
And it's not
so
white.
pretty.
It's beautiful.
It's not
We're
white.
excited to release our first ESX that's
Non-white.
The first 3 were white.
Yeah. I think we have another white one in the
What
lineup.
do they call that color? It's nice.
I'm pretty
Is it like that granite?
I'm calling it dark gray.
Dark.
I think it's granite pearl or
Yeah.
something.
Granite pearl.
It's nice with the black.
Fancy.
With the black and
Oh,
the
that's great.
yeah, beautiful Jeep.
Sounds great. 'cause
Sounds
it's
good.
a
Yeah,
392.
Ari was over there like checking it out, getting his juices flowing. So that's cool. So anyways, I just wanted to let everybody know, stay tuned. Jeff and I are going to shoot some videos on that. We're going to do a walk around. We're going to do a test drive. I drive, every time we finish one, I drive it for about a week, make sure everything's good before we deliver it to the customer.
We
Okay.
got someone tuning in from Scott Air Force Base. That's cool.
Nice.
And Esther Parrott Newcomb said, thank you for your service.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you for your service.
And we've got
everybody.
Oregon, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Now they're chiming in from all over the country. It's cool.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you all taking time out of your busy day to join us. So I really do.
Yeah, Scott, that's near St. Louis. That's our buddy Don.
Don
that's,
Cars, yeah.
Getting the TJ and LJ with Tracer.
Oh, super cool.
Nice.
Carl the Marine from Camp Pendleton, USMC. That's super cool.
All right. Well,
Some
thanks,
service
everybody.
members on.
Very cool. All right. Beadlocks is always a popular topic. And I just recently got the question from one of our viewers, Ginger, about why do I need beadlocks? Did you see her on there today? She'll really like this show.
I haven't seen her, but
Is
she
this
might
a
be.
Jamie Pellegrino screenshot?
It is.
Look at all these tabs. Only Jamie has that many
Has a
tabs.
zillion
Oh my
open.
goodness.
I know. It's crazy. Of course, our friends from Raceline happen to make some pretty darn nice wheels. So we're using them as our example. And let's talk about it. Here's the first reason you need beadlocks. If this has ever happened to you, you're having a bad day right here. This happens at a very bad spot. And you need to pull that off to fix it or change it to a spare, right? And I don't know how zoomed in you are, but this dude has pretty much ruined his wheel. Look at this big old divot out of there. So that's not a very good situation.
No, it's not. If you don't have a beadlock, you definitely need to carry a spare.
You do, yeah.
That's
So common problem out there when you don't have beadlocks. So this would be your first obvious. It keeps the tire on the rim. It's sandwiched on. So we're going to go into more detail on this. If that happens to you, you get to do the Redneck Reseat your bead.
Have you ever done that?
I have not, but I watched this video and it's sketchy.
A lot of them come out. Some of them look more sketchy than the others.
Yeah. Well, these.
I think we need to do a shop version of this.
Well,
just to test it out.
I thought about it today, but then I ruled it out. Each one of these guys lost their eyebrows and their arm hair. And this dude almost lost his thumb because he was the lighter guy and he stuck it between the rim and the tire and it popped so fast he almost didn't get his thumb out of it.
Oh, I've seen the one, you got to weave the trail.
The trail, yeah. So this was.
You can wear a welding mask.
I'll tell you what, I don't recommend this, but if you guys want to shoot a video and post it, then go for
That
it.
video is
Not
actually.
that we're encouraging that. But if you happen to do it, we'd like to see it.
that video is actually titled like "Redneck Way to Remount the Tire."
Yeah, it's not good. I think it actually comes up like a foot off the ground in the process.
It looks so sketchy.
But it worked.
Yeah.
did
And
work.
if you don't know what the roles are here, this guy was the spray guy. This guy is the air guy, which you see his hand right there putting air in. And this was the lighter guy.
It worked on their third try.
It was, yeah. So if the first two didn't scare the crap out of him, the
don't
third
know how
one
many
definitely got
burns
And
it.
of course, we're getting comments. Drive 70 and it will self-inflate. Craig, that doesn't work if the bead's not seated.
Yeah. Well, eventually you'll be on the rim, but you know, I've done that. What have I done that on? Walker Evans wheels made it all the way back with nothing on there. So,
Mike Sage. I feel like Jeff's a pyromaniac.
So the problem was I exceeded 85.
Ari's the pyro.
I didn't know that. I exceeded 85 and then I was on the rim. Okay, so here's, can you zoom way in? We've got a graphic, but we've also got a rim here, so we'll try the graphic first. So the idea is that you bolt this ring, squishing the bead of the tire onto the rim so it cannot come loose. The inner bead is still set with air pressure, and I've never lost an air bead. I don't know about you.
I have once. Sometimes you get into a certain combination of certain tires that don't like certain bead locks and vice versa.
Yeah.
The treps are real hard to set on certain bead locks. So I've lost one, but
Yeah.
it's a heck of a lot easier getting it back on with a bead lock.
Yes. Yeah. So there you go. And I know over the years, the manufacturers have gotten better about that lip, so when it gets over that, it stays there. So anyways, this is our physical version. Let's show what we've got here. We cut out a chunk of a Mickey Thompson tire, and it sandwiches in here, and you crank down the bolts, and that baby is stuck on there. And like we were just talking about, if you drive till there's no tire, there'll still be this little lip of what's left.
Be.
Yeah.
And the other parts might be in your suspension. We don't really recommend that either.
Can you turn the wheel so we can see that pinched in there?
Yeah. Maybe that way or the other way?
That's good. And then the other way too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
We got some questions already.
Is this the Walker Evans you drove?
This is no. This is a sample. What questions have you got?
Are beadlocks illegal on the road?
So the original beadlocks were made. I was talking about this earlier today. Now the beadlock wheels are manufactured that way. What was happening was people were converting regular rims over, and it relied on somebody's ability to weld on, and it was definitely a bit sketchy. Now they've got this quite perfected where the bolts bite in. They don't just come loose like the original ones did. I don't know. I checked mine.
If you do them right.
Yeah, if you do them right. I checked mine like 3 times to make sure, and then after that they're set. They're not coming off. So, but you would have to check your local regulations to know for sure. I haven't heard anybody get hassled for that.
Yeah, I've gotten like cell phone tickets here in California, and they never mentioned my beadlocks. So
yeah.
Well,
that's
I mean,
good.
They really have to know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
But to straightforward answer the question, I don't think they're necessarily DOT. Depends on your DOT.
Well, and I know that, AEV and Hutchinson, and there are some that are DOT legal, for sure.
Maybe our viewers can chime in if they know.
They
Their
say
area.
DOT compliant.
Interesting.
So it's a gray area.
Okay.
Okay.
So while we're on that subject, let's look down here. So this is what's called a bead look. So this is actually a regular wheel
Never heard that term before.
with bolts in it. Those are just fake bolts, and this is mounted like any other tire. So here's the deal. If you like this look, this is a great way to go. If you're not doing that much off-roading or not going to go down below 15 PSI, this is a perfect way to go.
Yeah, a lot of people do jump to beadlocks when they aren't necessarily needing to yet.
Right.
And then, to be honest, once you get more and more in it, you end up having to rebuy because you go to a different axle, different
That's right,
bolt
bolt
pattern,
pattern,
offset,
yeah.
When in reality, their first setup, they would have been perfectly fine going down to like
Yeah.
13 PSI.
Well, and like this is a 15-inch wheel, right? This is for my little 4-shock YJ. So obviously, if I were to build that thing, then I would go to a 17 and I would have just wasted the money.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, and these are significantly cheaper.
Yes, yeah, they're hundreds, yeah. So that's a great way to go. And most of the manufacturers I know, Method, all of them, Raceline, this one's a Raceline, All these guys make this fake beadlock or bead look wheel, so one of those things you can do.
Frank asked, do you need spacers for race lines and 40-inch Mickey Thompson Baja Boss?
So that depends on the tire that you mount. Some tires, this section, if you can see that, is thicker than others. So they make a little spacer that goes in there that helps to keep the ring clamping flat. So you just have to try the tire that you have, and I do not run those.
I've never ran them with Mickey Thompsons and Raceland.
Yeah, so.
Gary Vickers says Hutchinsons are DOT approved.
There you go. So, yeah.
Icons are DOT approved.
So, yeah. I knew there was a few out there for sure.
Do you think there's a best beadlock company, or are they all just like visual preference differences?
Okay, that's a great question. So one of the things I wanted to mention was that they're not all created equally. So some companies just drill and tap this hole, right? So all the bolts will go in. Other companies like Walker Evans or Raceline use a little insert that goes in from the back. So if you strip the bolt or the threads, you just pop it out and then you put a new one in. And this, I just opened the hardware bag, and this is, maybe I can get up real close. This is what that little insert looks like. Is it focusing on that?
Yep. Whoa.
So.
It was. There we go.
They're super handy. We've been at an event changing a tire and stripped out the bolt
Got
and
it.
a wheel. This wasn't an option.
That's right.
And then you're kind of
Then you're screwed. That's right. So this little guy just pops in from the back, and to put it in, you literally just bolt it down and suck it in. So these are commonly referred to as PEM nuts, but it's a great little thing.
And when they do come with your race lines, do not put those in your Jeep.
Yes, that needs to stay with you.
They're gold on the trail.
Yeah, for sure. And then Raceline happens to offer more bolts than anybody else, up to like 10 more bolts. It's quite a few more. Yeah. So that's good too, just giving you more surface and reinforcement. The other thing I was going to show you is that nowadays, in the early days they didn't do this, but nowadays the bolts are flush. And that helps also protect those threads, because they used to hit them, and then that would eventually jack up the threads.
The rings are so nice that if they do get kind of mashed up, you can just take a grinder to them, make them look like new, and you won't even have any problem getting a wrench on the beadlock.
Okay, so cool. That was one of my other things about owning a beadlock, right? Mm-hmm. So you can just, you're gonna beat the crap out of it, like if you're actually off-roading. Yeah. So here's one, right? So now you can clean this up a little bit, repaint it, whatever, re-anodize it, powder coat it, but down the road, you just buy yourself a brand new ring, and your vehicle looks like brand new. So that's a pretty nice feature, because when I had, like we were showing the guy with the blown off deal, the edge of my wheels used to just get hammered. And I didn't like that sharp edge right next to the inside of my tire. No. Like, there was nothing good about that. So when I found beadlocks, I was like, oh yeah, I like this a lot. So those are some of the features. How about more questions?
Yeah, Tony, what are your thoughts on the Method Racing bead grip technology wheels?
So everybody's got their little buzzword, you know. Some people, you know, knurl the inside. It's all, but it's the same thing. Is the
Jeff
bottom
needs
line.
a mic. Maybe stand by closer to Tony.
It's basically all the same. We're clamping them the same way. Every single one works the same way, except for a Hutchinson.
Yeah, and those are actually a double beadlock.
That's a double. So there's a spacer that goes. I actually have a picture of it.
They are heavy.
They're heavy. Oh my God. Oh, actually, let's talk about this for a second. So the big reason that you want to air down is to get a bigger patch on the ground. Now, you might say, well, what do I need that for? Well, I'll tell you what you need it for. When you go into low range in your transfer case, and you either have 2.7, which is almost 3-to-1, or you have 4-to-1, this little patch right here, when you've got all that torque, you're just gonna spin the tires. You need more bite on the ground, okay? Now, you say, Tony, I'm not a rock crawler. whatever, fine. Go to the mud, go to the snow. You need a bigger patch on the ground.
Those snow guys run them at like 4 psi.
Really low.
Yeah.
So all of that is important. So, and there's one more hidden benefit. The ride is excellent. It really increases the ride capability.
Yeah, that's something I didn't really learn until I went shock tuning with Bilstein. You're like air up your tires to like 15 shock tune, then when you go back down to like 10 or 8, it'll feel like butter, and boy does it.
It does. Yeah. It does.
Terry Mode, is it cold in SoCal? Lumberjack Jeff and Hoodie Tony?
It's not exactly southern sunny.
It is. I'm wearing my jacket too. It's cold today.
The hoodie.
I got my hoodie on too.
Yeah, I'm a little on the warm side, but I'm not over
Until
warm.
we step outside, then we're comfortable.
Yeah. So, okay, so we talked about the benefits there. This is another example showing different PSIs all the way down to 5 and how the tire now envelops the rock. And the reason you want to do that, and Ari and I were just talking about this earlier because he went wheeling with some other guys, you don't want your tires spinning. You want the bite and you want the traction. The whole reason somebody would even go to a sticky tire is you just want to crawl over it. Yeah. And that lower tire pressure is going to give you that extra grip you're looking for.
And this is a good example. Like when you watch 4400, that's not a good example of how you want to do it.
Right.
That's why everybody keeps bringing it up to me. I'm like, this, you want to slow crawl everything and let the tire do the work.
Yes. Yeah. So when we look at off-road racing, you have to go up on tire pressure because you're going faster. So the faster you go, you have to keep from getting what's called a snake bite, where the tire wraps over and gets pinched by the rim, and then you're out of the race.
Yeah, but that's kind of why sticky exists.
That's right.
Jeff is so handsome. Just reading comments.
Oh, Jeremy Duper. You're handsome too, Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy.
He looked down at his phone hoping it was a female, sorry.
I was hoping it was Jeremy.
What's the lowest pressure would you run on beadlocks?
Well,
0.
You're all low.
I do like low.
So you got to find what you like. You run at about 8.
Or less.
Or less.
Like I'll even start at 6.
I'm too scared.
I usually keep mine at 10 just because I like how it handles better. Because the lower you go, the less handling you have when pressure's on it. It's more likely to roll and move on you. So I like, but I run a sticky again.
And Jeff's found a rock in the desert that was the size of a small Honda generator.
Yeah. I didn't win that battle. Nobody won that battle besides The Rock. But that was my first time in race gear going, and I think we had just gotten off the trail, and I was still at like 8 to 10 psi.
Oh, Peter showed up, and so did Ginger.
All right, Ginger, this is your topic. I'm doing this for you.
James Goldman said, I love my Trail Ready and KMC beadlocks. I especially like the holes on the KMCs that let out the water.
Yes.
I like that too.
I do too. Yeah, that is a cool
feature. Do you use
feature.
spacers on yours?
No.
Aqua Jeep Girl said, I have Raceline Avenger beadlocks and recently added their spacers. No loose bolts now. I had loose bolts in the past with them.
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise what happens is that only one side of the bolt is biting, so that's where you got to use the spacer.
Dwayne Lewis says in Arizona they're not DOT approved, but they are not illegal.
Yeah, DOT is usually a requirement from the vehicle manufacturer. Well, once it leaves the manufacturer, everything's aftermarket, and there's very few things that are required DOT that are aftermarket.
What is the max air pressure for beadlocks?
Max. So according to Raceline, I just saw their flyer in this box. It said 25 PSI. I've run higher, sometimes by accident, but yeah, I don't go over 30, that's for sure.
I check my tire pressure like twice a year. Yeah. So I'm not going over 25.
JC asked, what tire pressure do you like to be on for sand, snow, mud, and dry dirt? Because you change them for those things?
No, okay, so that's an interesting point, and I'm going to use Josh Nesser's name on this.
He's on here too, watching.
Is he? Okay, good.
Yeah.
So Josh is a huge believer in never varying the tire pressure based on the terrain, because then the vehicle performs differently. So he's like, man, if you pick 9, stay at 9 no matter what you do, you know?
I could get on board. I could just adjust throttle.
Right.
Oh, do you recommend using the beadlock bolts they come with, or do you run higher grade bolts? ARP bolts worth it?
They're super nice, but man, they're expensive.
They're expensive.
Especially with all the bolts in a
Yeah,
race
I think this one has the ARP bolts. Yeah, this one does. So I think they're $2 a piece, and there's 28 per.
It might be more now.
So it's pricey.
lot.
Now they're bulletproof.
They are
Yeah.
super nice. 'Cause
Yeah.
I mounted all the wheels and tires for Peter.
Peter.
So finally, we only did our race day set with the ARPs, and just feeling those go in, how they threaded, how solid they are impressive.
Yeah.
Now, is this something that I'm going to spend the money on for trail riding with all you guys? Probably not. But
Well, and certainly if you're not having a problem with the bolts they come
no,
with,
I've never broken
right,
them.
right, why spend the money,
Exactly.
right? Other than cool
Besides the
factor. Yeah.
Because they are sexy.
They look good.
Yeah. So,
Josh
That was-
says
that
that
was a good
typically the
question.
internal beadlocks are legal,
yep.
and double beadlocks are DOT approved.
There you go.
Let's see.
They're heavy.
They're
Like,
very
oh.
heavy.
Man, I don't even like it. So this is the brand new Rhino cast wheel from Raceline, and this is only slightly heavier than a forged wheel now. They've got the casting under pressure now, and they've really this new wheel, this is brand new. This whole process is really good, and that they do a test where they put the wheel in a press and they bang it to bash the center out. And this has been like one of the highest rated wheels they've ever made. So,
Okay, do you run wheel weights like the stick-on or clip-on weights, or balancing beads?
Yeah, he's asking if we balance your beadlocks.
Yeah, I got a couple questions
so
about that.
I don't.
I never have either.
Yeah, and I right now on Aftershock, I got 30,000 miles on that, and we've been running,
Actually-
on the highway and everything.
Yeah, and actually Stephen Bird just switched from his old tires to.
Oh, that's right.
That he had a vibration that he could never figure out. He had them balanced like 4 times. That you got drive shafts changed. He put on the Mickey Thompson's unbalanced vibration completely gone.
Yeah.
So I guess it all depends on what tire and
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I've never felt the need to balance a 40.
Yeah, and actually that goes back to the question about how low would I go. Part of that depends on the weight of your vehicle. So obviously, if you're have a very heavy vehicle, if you're loaded up with hard top, hard doors, gear, everything, the squish in a tire that's at 8 pounds looks like it's at 4. Yeah. So part of that depends on the weight. The other is the type of tire. Like I know some guys with like IROCs that they just pull the valve stems out.
Yeah, so
Right?
they still make IROCs.
They're so thick, like, but just using them as an example, right?
They're super thick, and they were designed just to flex and never puncture.
Right.
Also, you get tire roll like crazy.
Like crazy, yeah.
How often do you re-torque, and how do you do it? Like off the truck and back down?
So what does that sheet say? It
0
has a
PSI?
recommendation. It's like the first, how many miles? 100 miles.
100 miles. I'd usually do it sooner.
I would too.
Like if, say, you put Beadlocks on, then you go for a weekend at Johnson Valley. I'm checking them after every
Run.
evening when
Yeah.
we get back.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I would say probably like the second run, you're gonna find that all of them are tight.
Yeah,
And then I'm just nervous, so I check them a third time,
yeah.
and then call them quit.
Yeah, so unless you happen to notice, a bolt sticking out, maybe you were grinding on a rock or something, after the third time, I've always been fine.
But that's assuming you took your sweet time installing them correctly.
Yes.
Like I usually go around at least 6 times.
Yeah, and I brought over a torque wrench, to show that you got to use a torque wrench.
Yeah, because even if I have to tighten one, I go around all the way again, because chances are the next time the one right next to it
Is loose.
So
Yeah.
you just have to take your time to do it right, and then
Yeah.
there's a good chance that you might not see any loose the first time.
Yeah, and part of the reason Jeff and I like beadlocks is we can do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? That's another nice feature. Now, that said, that also means that most tire shops won't touch them.
Yeah, they just don't know what they're doing.
They don't know what they're doing. They see it as liability. I think they just use it as an excuse.
I'm just so anal about that. I don't want them to do it.
Right.
Because I want grease on every single one of these bolts.
Yep.
I want to make sure they're torqued right.
Yep.
So, or anti-seize.
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, on the threads. We're talking about on the threads. So-
Is there a best bolt pattern to use with beadlocks, or just whatever you have?
Well, we like to do the star.
Yeah, I guess he's talking about tightening the beadlock bolts. But yeah, I like to do the star.
Yeah.
I use a Sharpie and I mark where I start, and then just count in until, and then just restart about 5 times.
Yeah. And I use the valve stem and then work from there. So
Me too, but then I always forget exactly. so I got to use the Sharpie.
Yeah.
Everybody in the shop makes fun of me, but I'm set in my ways.
Someone asked what maker makes the ones with the holes for the water. That's KMC, right?
that is KMC.
Okay.
Yep.
What
see what else
wheel spacing are you running on aftershock?
The backspace? Yeah, 4 3/4,
I think you're running 4.5.
4.5, maybe 4 5/8. I don't.
I think it's 4.
This is brand new. I just got this.
information in this wheel.
Yeah.
Not that though, no.
No. So might say on the box over there.
But you're running the same as on Terremoto, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.5 inch backspace.
Yeah.
Are the torques different on different beadlocks for those who want to mount themselves?
So this beadlock wheel, this is a forged competition wheel, and these are 3/8 size bolts. That's huge. Most are 5/16. So this you can torque up to 20 or 25 pounds versus the 5/16, which are typically 15 to 18. Does it say?
Yeah, this one's 16 to 18.
Yeah. So there you go.
What does forged mean? That's a Jennings question.
So forging, so wheels for a long time were spun. So they put it in a machine that looks like a lathe and they press it with a little roller and they put all these grooves in there. Then what you had to do was bolt the wheels together. So they had like a 2 or 3 piece wheel where the center section. And the reason they did that was because you could move the offset in the wheel for depending on what you were doing. That started to get expensive, so then they started cast wheels. And obviously the most durable is a forged wheel, because a cast wheel, if you really hit it hard, can tend to crack or break. That rarely happens. They're really quite good these days.
I did it.
But the forged wheel, you can actually straighten them, but they're double the price.
They're expensive.
Yeah.
And before, forged used to be quite a bit lighter, but that gap is closing
It
quite
really
a
is,
bit to where
yeah.
the advantages of forged are still there, but they're getting closer.
Yeah.
So do you prefer cast or forged wheels? Someone asked.
Well, I prefer forged. So just to give you an idea, this wheel here is 30 pounds, and a standard wheel is about 40 to 45 pounds. So you just save some additional weight.
Nick Rebenich. Does Jeff still install beadlocks for a crisp $100?
I sure do. Except for that one was a pain.
Let's see. A question for someone else, but would you run beadlocks on an overland vehicle that sees a lot of highway driving and easier trails, no rock crawling?
See, I just don't know if that's where I would spend the money.
Yeah, and I do it on aftershock because I use it for both.
Yeah,
right. So
exactly.
it's not like it's bad. It's just a matter of whether you want to spend the extra money for something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, overlanding, it just depends on what tire pressure you want to go to. Like, there's probably really no great reason to go lower than 14 pounds.
Right. So,
So you'd be good with a Beadlock.
yes.
I don't know. Someone asked, what are your thoughts on the Beer bead grip wheels? 08 JKU, 40-inch tires? Beer?
What those are.
That must be a brand, I'm going to assume.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Rick from Arkansas, looking forward to your Hot Springs visit, hoping to see or ride in one of your TJ to LJ Tracer builds. It's my plan for my TJ.
Nice.
Bought
I
an
was gonna
extra
talk about
frame to
that.
bring it into.
Cool. Yeah, that's July 14 through 16. For those of you, we do have a Facebook event on that, and we're looking for people to sign
It's on
up as
our
well.
app, so
Yeah.
soon we'll actually have a sign-up page on our website.
Actually, we haven't talked about the app in a while. We do still want people to
Guys, we
download
have
that
an app. Download it.
Yep,
Do
from-
stuff on it.
from the App Store for Apple and Android. So
Do you do a chalk test to see how much PSI to run on the street?
I don't.
I don't either.
I don't.
And someone else asked, what's the difference in PSI when you're daily driving? Right now I'm at 32 PSI on steel wheels. What would be my PSI on a Beadlock for day-to-day driving?
So, okay, the engineer who designed the Baja Boss tire called me and said, Tony, how much does your Jeep weigh? You know, he knows I'm on a 40. I told him, he came back and said, the minimum I should run on the street is 28 PSI. So he's like, if you're in that 28 to 30, you're fine based on the weight of the vehicle. It's based on the weight of the vehicle. So obviously, like on my truck that can tow 20,000 pounds, it's 85 PSI, right?
I
So
like to lower that one. I'm not.
it's awfully rough.
It gives it a little bit
Yeah.
of ride. But if you're running Beadlocks, check your sheet because
Yeah.
you're going to be maxed out at 25.
Yeah.
Can you go over some of the definitions of these words you're talking about, like backspacing and
Sure. Yeah.
on,
Why don't
see
we
what
spin
else.
this wheel around, Jeff? And
he had extra things? Hold
might be
on.
better.
'Cause you can see the
Oh, just lift it up. Yeah.
Wheel
Okay.
terms that you're talking about?
Sure. So for many, many years, everybody talked about it as offset. They were looking for what's the offset. So the problem with that is it's also based on the width of the wheel. So now everybody's talking about it in terms of backspace. And that tends to just be a little bit more common.
So what's the difference between offset and backspace?
So the difference is it's based on the width of the wheel, right? So the good news is that when you talk about backspace, it's consistent from the back of the wheel, and then whatever is out here is different, which would be the backspace, or sorry, the offset. So today we talk about backspace, and that's what we were talking about earlier was the 4.5 or 4 5/8 or 4 3/4. What we want to do is we want to be as close to 5 inches as possible. Your stock wheel is 5 inches of backspace, and on a Jeep. So on cars, you know, they go way past that because they're trying to get all the load in over the bearings, and that's what you're after. Now, we've talked about this before because when you push this, so the backspace is getting smaller, right? Or the offset bigger, what happens is when you turn the wheel, now it starts to sweep, or you get what's called scrub radius, and that's breaking traction on the tire. Yeah. So if this is close to center or even, you know, out this way, then everything's over the bearings and it will turn the best without breaking traction.
Which is a hard game with Jeeps.
It
because
is.
The bigger tire you go, the wider they are.
Yeah, because they're hitting the control arms, the bumper, right? You get into everything.
People start putting wheel spacers on just to clear the wider tires.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's and by the way, you know, typically if you just go to an off-road shop or a tire shop and you go, I want bigger tires, the first thing they're going to do is give you a wheel with more offset or less backspace, and it's going the wrong way from what you want. So, is there any other terms that they were talking about?
I'm not sure, but do you know the brand and model of the wheel on the table?
This one? Yeah, that's the Raceline Rhino.
Raceline Rhino.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mark Lawrence said Raceline calls for 25 psi on beadlocks, but as they heat up, the pressure goes over 25. Is this okay?
That's why they do it. So typically, by the way, when a tire is cold to when it heats up, is only a 3 to 5 pound difference. It's not much. It's also one of the reasons that many people opt to get nitrogen in their tires because then it stays the same. So, but that's a lot of nitrogen.
Yeah, that was a big thing for a while.
It was.
The green cap.
Dwayne Lewis says bet you're not breaking the cast rhinos. Look on the backside and inside of them. The raised ridges stop deflection.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, you can see them
Deflection of what's that mean?
right there. Can you see the inside of
Yeah,
that?
yeah, but what is deflection?
So when you have a big ring like this, as you start to really push the limits of the materials, deflection is something that starts to happen where it's not rolling round anymore, it's deflecting as you hit different bumps. And they've obviously figured out that's a pretty cool technique to prevent that, so. I like it.
Philip Pierce said, I went with beadlocks because I couldn't use my factory wheels even with spacers once I put my rock crawler lift on. If I'm going to spend the money on new wheels, why not beadlocks other than
That's how a lot of people get into
more
them.
expensive?
Yeah.
Not a rock crawler.
And one of the pluses of Beadlocks is if there's always somebody in the market for them. So even if you do upgrade axles, you go full width and you need a totally different Beadlock, you'll be able to sell your old ones in a week.
Yeah, for sure. Because remember, you put on brand new rings and they look like brand
I
new.
did that like 4 months ago.
Mario Romans asked, what are your thoughts on beadlock alternatives such as Methods bead grips? Would like to save weight over a traditional beadlock.
Okay. So have you seen those? I think Icon's making them too. It's a new thing that grips from the backside. It's almost like the old, days when you drill the rim and put in like a sheet metal screw.
I've seen them. I haven't seen them firsthand. All I know is this is tried and proven.
Yeah.
There's a reason why every race car driver is running something like
Yes, that's what I was going to say. But I'm glad you
Nick
said
has a little helpful tip. He said for street pressure, slide a piece of paper up under the side of the tire. It shouldn't go in much or the outer tread of the tire is not hitting. That equals too high of a PSI. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Would you recommend the internal beadlocks?
Like the stands. I've never ran them.
And I've run the bags,
Tire balls?
tire balls.
Do you recommend those?
No. And my crew hated them. And it adds extra weight.
It does.
So I think that was like 10 or 13 pounds per wheel.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Okay, fans want to know if Jeff charges $100 per wheel or for all of them.
Per wheel. But if you want me to mount all of them, we can negotiate.
Quantity discount?
I could come with a coupon.
How much does that new wheel weigh?
Give it a feel,
I
Jeff.
think it's like 32 pounds.
Pick it up, Hercules.
They're personally calibrated.
I'd say about 30. Actually, I think they are.
Does it say on there, Ari?
I think they're 34 pounds.
Oh, it is 4.5. Okay. Ari's reading the box.
Do you always say any specific? Do you use any specific grease when you're putting it together, or just general purpose grease?
I use whatever grease I can find.
Yeah, which is typically, we typically have like a tube of Torco around here. It's not white lithium, I can tell you that. It's usually a moly based.
But what I will say is we're out there all the time. So, and we're running sticky. So it's not going to be a tire that we're going to have on for 5 years at a time.
Right.
There's no tire that would give us the performance and last for 5 years.
I mean, they don't even make it a year.
No. So if you're one of the wheelers that get your Jeep out like 3 times a year and your tires are going to last, you're going to do this like once every 5 years, I would probably make a point to use anti-seize.
Yeah, me too.
Do you have a preference of Raceline or KMC?
I'm Raceline.
I've been with Raceline for a while. Just the point of that rib nut in there, to where you can't strip out the threads, is awesome.
Yep.
Because otherwise, what are you helo coiling it and messing with all that? It's
Yeah, actually,
fun.
some wheels, I don't know if you noticed when you take off the ring, they just have you rotate and set it back down. They got a second set of holes because they know you're going to strip them out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
So, I'm like, oh, that's very thoughtful.
Good
Paul
product company.
said, thanks for the info on backspacing. Was the 5-inch rule consistent across all generations, YJ, TJ, JK, etc.? Follow-up question, if 5-inch is ideal on a 15-inch diameter, would it be the same on a 17?
It would be. But, you know, like I said, as you go up in diameter on your tire, you're going to start hitting the control arms. You're going to get into all kinds of stuff. So, you know, Jennings Jeep behind us is a perfect example. You know, she went to a 37 and that they had to push the wheel out.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, my old axles, I had to run 3 3/4 backspace, and it wasn't absolutely terrible, but you could definitely see what you always bring up.
Yeah,
Losing,
yeah.
losing traction when I'm turning.
Yeah.
I got KMCs because that's what you had on Aftershock at the time. I mean, on Terremoto, not Aftershock.
Yeah, that's a while ago.
Yeah, a while ago. How about using anti-seize instead of grease?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's if you're not going to be in them all the time like we are, and you're planning on doing it like once every few years, anti-seize is what I would use.
Yeah, what you don't want to do is you don't want to dry bolt because you don't get a proper torque. And then when you go to take it out, the water has set in there
It's
and
terrible.
you're gonna break stuff.
You're turning a 2-hour job into a weekend job.
Yeah,
You're gonna break the bolt head off. You're gonna
it's gonna be a mess.
you're gonna buy a new one.
Yeah.
VB Tom says he charged extra for the street cred of rock scars on the non-Beadlock wheels when I sold them.
Good job. Good job.
I would like to see that ad.
Okay, I think we're caught up on questions.
Nice. Okay, well, we got about 10 minutes left, so keep those questions coming. And,
It's almost time for us to ask a question, right?
oh, yeah, actually,
I don't have a question. Jen,
Come
you have a
on.
question, girl.
did you come up with something? Maybe Ari can?
Okay, I think it should be something.
First tagline.
Oh,
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
okay, so.
What was GenRight's first tagline?
We have a tagline.
We have a tagline?
We do.
Seems like your social media guy should know that.
Should know that.
Do any of us know the correct answer?
I'm excited to see what he comes up with.
I was thinking for Nana and Jamie's birthday, you could ask something about them. So you'd kind of have to know something about them.
Oh,
It's a tricky one.
that is tricky. But
Like,
we've
how
already,
old is Jamie this year? Something easy.
is
You
that
could
easy?
guess safely
Yeah.
without offending him.
Do you like that better than the tagline?
I don't know. I don't know if we know the real answer, do we?
Is anybody guessing?
I mean, I think there could only be one.
VB Tom has a guess.
What did he guess?
Should we give it away? What is the answer? Do you know the answer?
I mean, I think there could only be one.
What are you thinking?
Genuine ideas engineered right.
Well, that's what I was
That's
thinking.
what I was thinking.
Well, okay, so we all knew it, and we just gave it away. So is that what Tom said?
Is that what he said?
You said, get out of my way.
I like that better.
Hold on. We got to come up with a better question.
You want something better?
Something better. Come on. You're the Tony.
Okay, well, yeah, I like your suggestion about Jamie.
Okay.
Okay.
Today's Jamie's birthday.
Today's Jamie's birthday.
How old is he?
My oldest son drives the Growler. How old is he today? The first one that can come up with that.
People are coming up
know
with
the
helpful
answer,
new
right?
taglines for you.
Oh boy.
I do know the answer. And that is for
Okay.
a K&N gift card.
31.
Nope.
33.
Yep.
Okay, Mike Sage got it
All right.
Okay.
first.
Awesome.
So did Ed
Nice.
Gladden and Jeremy Dupper.
Who got it
Okay,
first?
so you can send
Mike
that
Sage
to him.
got it first.
All right.
Just take a
Mark
picture
Lawrence,
of the front and back
28.
and email that to him. And he has to call in.
32, 38.
Send it to him.
Okay, well,
Well, you can't win something and not get something. Real.
He's 33. Happy birthday, Jamie.
yep.
How did the Growler end up out of commission?
So,
That's his other son.
I wasn't thinking about that, but that's true. Okay, so, and I don't think that picture is in here, but the Jordan
63.
did a rock crawl competition out at Azusa, and he won the rock crawl competition. It was a obstacle course plus being timed at the same time. And he was driving my Growler on 42s. And the very last obstacle was one of those big giant tubes that you had to get over. Well, to get over it, you had to, like slap it and get over.
Give it the beans.
And he did. And fortunately, it was a straight shot to the finish line because the frame flexed so much that the steering wasn't connected to the box anymore, and he got to the finish. Now, I didn't know this. I came over to congratulate him at the finish line, and then he goes like, Dad, I can't steer the Jeep. He goes, let's just wait till all the people go away, and then we can tow it away.
Your mom said, thanks for not asking how old I am. The answer is older than dirt. Everybody knows you're 29, Nana.
That's the most Jordan story I've ever heard.
Yeah. So it got parked for a long time till Jamie decided that he wanted to revive it and it be his Jeep. So.
Okay, here's a legit question. Would you run custom OMF beadlocks or stick to the stock?
So I ran
What's
custom
OMF?
OMFs for a long time.
What is that?
I used to love this One American Racing wheel. I don't even know if I have a picture of it in here.
That was on your site, like when you guys first got started.
Yes.
Because when I got my first set, it was either those Walker Evans or the AEV ones.
Yeah.
And I found a good set of the AEV ones used, but they were very soft.
Yeah. And by the way, I remember being on a run with Chris from Spiderweb Shade, and he had the AEV cast wheel. It wasn't a beadlock, and he had scraped it so many times that the tire was starting to crack what was left of the edge off.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, everybody stand back, man, like this thing's gonna blow. So we carefully got the air out of it, but that was sketch. And he had no idea. So.
You want to hear the suggestions for taglines?
Sure.
Get out of my way. Genuinely done right. Made in America. Genuine parts done right. It's gold. Buy once, cry once. And money doesn't matter when it comes to perfection.
Nice.
Drive at a fast walking speed.
I like that one. Who said that one?
I don't know. George Kane.
Nice.
Genuine ideas engineered right.
Yep.
Okay, there were a few others that were
I hope
funny.
people are paying attention because we're going to ask that at one of these. We've got a lot of gift cards still, so.
Oh, never mind.
Let's make sure. Okay, so I did want to mention beadlocks do come in 15-inch, 17-inch, and 20-inch. Those are readily available. We talked about a variety of backspacing. The wheel is typically a higher quality, more heavy-duty wheel.
So what size beadlock do you like?
I like 17s. I think that gives the right sidewall.
Yeah, to be honest, even with a 42, I would like a 17.
Me too.
I mean, some tires aren't available in a 17 and a 42. I think that's why the 20s exist. And then the 15s.
Well, it's like for a 35.
Yeah.
Right.
How about no ORIs here? Don Carr
That's
suggestion.
the tagline.
Yeah, or just like we like
Or-
springs.
Can I get a yellow hat? Can I get a yellow hat?
Can I get a yellow hat? I know.
Here's a shout out. Let's see. Kirby Benton, not a question. North Carolina Off-Road in Greenville, North Carolina. Use a lot of GenRight parts and wanted to tell you that Keith is awesome. Just wanted to let you know he came to one of our events with his Jeep since he's moved to Charlotte. He's a great guy and talks very highly of everyone at GenRight.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right, we're all caught up.
Did we replaceable ring? And then we talked about the maintenance, just checking the bolts.
Oh, I missed one. What
Sure.
do you think of the beadlock capable Mopar wheels?
Tom Nagley's running those with his Mickey Thompson
392?
tires. And he ended up buying some aftermarket rings. I wasn't even aware that they made. If Tom's on, maybe he can chime in.
Yeah.
But that looks like it worked out really cool. So, and I know those come on some of the Jeep models, especially if you're buying a 392.
Did you say happy birthday to your mom?
I did. Happy
Yeah.
birthday,
That's what
Mom.
we opened
Okay.
with.
People are worried.
Yeah,
that you could
I
have
even
ignored
did
her.
a post for my mom with a special picture we took.
Yes. What are your thoughts on the Terraflex beadlocks with the built-in air down feature? They have that?
So that's the, what do they call that big valve that everybody puts on their wheel?
The monster.
Monster.
valve.
It's like that.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody else asked about the monster valve. What is that?
My only experience is everybody that has that, they leak.
They would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will not be putting them on mine.
No.
Tom
It's-
said I am running them.
He's running those aftermarket Beadlock rings. Yeah, I don't remember what he told me the brand was.
But yeah. Yeah. I like the idea.
Yeah. Yeah. The reality is, I've got those little thread-on things. I walk around, and almost by the time I put the first one on, by the time I make a lap, it's almost done.
Yeah, and to be honest, all you need is one guy in the group with a power tank to air up super quick.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and, like in Aftershock, I've got that air system that airs up all 4 tires with a dual air B compressor. And that, even on 40s, it's just a few minutes, so it's not bad.
Robert Wheeler says, I want to tell you, you guys are amazing and so helpful with the what if questions that any Jeeper has. I have learned so much following you and have passed on what I learned or tell them to watch your tech talks.
We appreciate that. That's awesome.
And
Yeah,
several
please
people are saying, yeah, me too.
share. Yeah,
Great.
we need to get the word out. That's for sure.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're in California, June 16th is our next Simi Valley
It's going to be a big one.
Jeep night. It's going to be a big one. We're bringing race scales so you can weigh each corner of your Jeep. We're bringing an RTI ramp. There'll be a show and shine. We'll have more prizes and giveaways. So
Everybody, all the GenRight employees are bringing their GenRight Jeeps there.
yeah, come talk Jeeps, builds, events, right? Like
Gonna be
everything.
great.
Yeah, for
Do
sure.
we have Mike Sage's contact info for his win?
Yes.
Perfect. So VB Tom says Tech Talk should be mandatory viewing for all new Jeep owners.
There you go. Nice. Okay. Maybe
Go to the
maybe somebody
dealership.
at Jeep is watching and they could just like slip that in.
Mom's going to a birthday dinner now. Bye,
Nice.
Mom.
Bye, Mom.
Have fun. All right, we're all
All
good.
right, everybody. That's going to wrap it up for us. Thanks for joining us. And we will be back next Wednesday with more good Jeep stuff.
And we might go live with the new 392 build before the end of the week.
Okay,
So pay
excellent.
attention on
Good to know.
Bye-bye.